Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the webinar we have today on OCBC's sustainability journey and our sustainability report. I'm Lei San from Group Sustainability, and I have the pleasure of being the moderator today for the fireside chat between Mike and Yoon Mee. Mike, you are Chief Sustainability Officer, and Yoon Mee, you're Managing Director leading the Sustainability Office of Global Wholesale Banking. So you both have very trendy, hot designations in the corporate world today.
Hot and hip.
Hot and hip, yes. Maybe you can tell us a bit more about your hot and hip roles.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining this webinar. As some of you may know, I assumed the position 1st August, and I cover a variety of things. So I still recall my first week of the job. There were a few requests. A very common one, or the most popular one, was, by the way, the aircon on my floor is very cold. Can you do something about it? And we can save some emissions in the midst of it. But on a more serious note, I think as the CSO, my job is really to look at a few things. So it's really strategy, governance, as well as alignment. So for the strategy part, what we want to do is to embed sustainability into everything that we do, whether you're talking about business, operational emissions, risk, everything. And we want to use it as a differentiator for OCBC when we go out to the market. So that is the strategy part. The second is really governance, which is in order to achieve the outcomes that we want to achieve, how do we structure it in terms of the governance bodies? As some of you may know, we have the Board Sustainability Committee that was formed in February last year. And we have the Sustainability Council, which has been there for a few years already. With the appointment of the CSO, there is a new committee that was formed late last year, but we had our first meeting in February this year, which is the Sustainability Steering Committee, to look at certain governance matters, including supporting the Sustainability Council, looking for initiatives that we can implement, and we are looking to have the same governance structure across our network. So the last one I'll touch about is alignment. We are a bank with more than 30,000 people, many subsidiaries in our network. And what we want to do, or what we don't want to do, is to have everybody doing their own thing. So alignment is actually very important. And again, like I said, I think the governance structure, we are trying to align. And when it comes to certain policies, certain products that we roll out, certain processes to prevent greenwashing, for instance, we want the alignment of initiatives across the network. For instance, when we did our framework, we actually had a wide consultation process across the network to make sure that the framework is relevant and can be usable for all our network countries. Simply put, is really strategy, governance, and alignment.
Thanks, Mike. And Yoon Mee?
As a sustainability office for the Global Wholesale Banking Divisions, what our team does every day in day out is talking to our clients, understanding what they're going through in terms of sustainability and transition efforts, and trying to see how we can support them, either via banking solutions or partnerships. Mike mentioned about the strategy, governance, alignment on the areas that he's doing. We also try to have their strategy for the GWB in embedding sustainability in the way we engage our clients. Also, governance to ensure that all the sustainable finance transactions we are doing is in line with the relevant market standards. And also, even in the way of we are managing the risk, we are totally aligned. And alignment with all the other markets like Singapore, Malaysia, and all the other key markets are key areas that we're working on as well.
Okay, that's great. So we're here today to talk about our sustainability report, which is an important document. It helps us comply with listing rules because we're a listed entity. But more than that, it's important to many stakeholders, including our employees, investors. And it talks about our governance, our strategy, and also the progress we've made. So maybe turning to you first, Mike, as we talk about our governance and our approach in the recent sustainability report, notice some new things. Apart from having a new Chief Sustainability Officer, we have a refreshed sustainability framework. Maybe you can tell us more about this framework.
Sure. If you look at the framework, it looks simple enough, but trust me, this is probably like version 30 or version 40. So every word has actually been debated and discussed at the highest levels. Perhaps I'll just point out 5 things, the framework for you to take away. If you look at our ambition, which is to be Asia's leading financial services partner for a sustainable future, I just want to point out the last 2 words because there was quite a lot of discussion at the management level as to what our ambition should be. And we thought that in order to have a North Star, the sustainable future is one that is important for us to incorporate. And the two words sustainable future actually coexist very naturally together, because a future that is not sustainable is not a future that we want to strive towards. So this is something that forms part of our ambition. The second point I want to bring up is the A, B, and C, which is accelerating the net zero transition, bringing impact to communities, and conducting our business responsibly. And we decided on the ABC theme because sustainability is fundamental, it is foundational to how we want to operate as a bank, as a group. So ABC are the imperatives, our sustainability imperatives, and hopefully it is something that is relatable and simple for people to articulate when our colleagues want to talk about sustainability and what it means to OCBC. And the third thing I want to call out is that if you look at the first pillar, which is accelerating the net zero transition, the last two words there, which are multifaceted businesses, that is a strength that we have always been very proud of. And when it comes to sustainability, it's equally important. A case in point would be our colleagues in CFS. They have made very good stride in promoting loans for electric vehicles. And we have got a Great Eastern arm that can provide insurance for those EVs. And that is a very good proposition that we can propose to our clients. So the multifaceted businesses is a strength that we have got in all areas, including sustainability. Next thing I will call out is how we execute. So those are material ESG factors that we are looking at under each of the pillars. That has actually been reduced. Previously, there were 13 factors. Now we have 10. Simply because we wanted to have more focus, and in this case, less is more. And finally, the last point I want to touch on is really LIFR, which is the foundation of what we do. And if you think about it, the LIFR values very much support how we want to execute sustainability. The first one I'll point out is forward-looking. A lot of our clients are looking to make the transition, and we, by incorporating sustainability into our business models, we are being forward-looking, supporting our clients. Lasting value. If you look at climate risks, they are likely to materialize in the medium to long term, not so much in the short term. But nevertheless, we should be preparing ourselves for it. We have to adopt a long-term view, and that is where lasting value actually comes in. The last point, responsibility. I think we all know we have a role to play to be responsible in the communities where we operate. And that supports our activities in everything that we do.
So Mike, it's very interesting what you said about why we chose the theme ABC, because it's really foundational. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit so that we can just understand this
Sure.
ABC a little bit better.
Sure. So I'll touch on each of them in turn. So A is really accelerating the transition to a net zero future. And that is an area that we believe we can make a substantial contribution to our clients, helping them to transition. But I think importantly, we also have to look inwards, what we are doing as a bank. And in the area, we have actually made quite a bit of progress, in fact, very good progress, through some very good ideas, ceramic nets, as well as IoTs, to optimize the efficiency of our aircon systems, renewable energy or solar panels installed at the rooftop of our buildings, etc. So we have been quite successful there in terms of reducing our own operational emissions. So that is A. B is really bringing impact to the communities. When we talk about communities, we are really talking about people. And people is all, or what sustainability is all about. Even when you look at the net zero transition, which is the E part, we are not doing things for the environment. At the end of the day, we are doing things for the environment because of the impact to the people. And as many of you will know, in terms of the impact to the people, the poorest people or the least privileged people are the ones that are going to be most impacted by environmental damage. So we have to be responsible to the communities where we operate. And more importantly, when we look at communities, we really need to look inwards at our own colleagues. And in that regard, we have made a lot of progress. We have got the Grow Your Way expedition last year. We have a whole My Wellness framework to promote well-being for our employees. And also when it comes to diversity, we are actually quite good when it comes to gender diversity. I was just looking at some of the stats. 56% of our colleagues are actually women. And actually in terms of the leadership position, 41% of these are women. So in terms of gender diversity, I think we are doing quite well. The last pillar, which is the C, conducting our business responsibly, that if you look at some of the ESG factors that we have got there, cybersecurity, fair dealing, governance, and culture, they are very fundamental to what we do. Again, very foundational, that without this, we would not have been able to be a successful organization for more than 90 years.
Thanks, Mike. There's another section in the SR that talks about what you just talked about, the what, the why, the how. So turning to that, I think Yoon Mee, you talk about the why sustainability matters to OCBC in terms of purpose, opportunity, risk, as well as responsibility. Does this resonate with what you're doing and when you approach your clients?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So starting from purpose, personally, I really like our PVA, enabling people and community to achieve their aspirations while aiming to become Asian leading financial institutions for sustainable future. And it really resonates with what our team does. Every day, we try to help our clients understand how sustainability and these transition needs are shaping their industry and markets, and giving them relevant solutions, either in the form of banking solutions or partnership. So the purpose is really the underlying engine that is driving us. Then opportunity. When we are speaking about sustainability to our clients, it gives us an opportunity to approach them differently. Instead of speaking about credit and financials, now we're speaking about like how the whole industry is trying to decarbonize, what your buyers are looking at. So it's a different engagement. And in doing that, it gives us an opportunity to differentiate ourselves in the very noisy and competitive market. One example that we've been doing is since 2018, we've been offering sustainable financing solutions to our clients. And when we first started, I think our target was 10 billion. Then the latest target was increasing our sustainable finance assets to 50 billion by 2025. And I'm happy to report that our latest sustainable finance assets in our sustainable report is 54 billion. So we met our target. And this engaging our clients in the sustainability gives us really good opportunities for us to do different client engagement risk. If you think about what we do, this whole climate change and then the sustainability is really posing a real risk for the business that we operate in, either in the form of transition risk or physical risk, or it could be a reputational risk. So as a responsible player, identifying and duly managing and reporting on how we're managing the risk holistically is an important part of it. For example, in our team, we also have a team who's advising our clients and bankers in navigating this high ESG risk transactions for clients from those sectors as well. Last, responsibility. In doing all of these things, we would like to do it with integrity. So we don't cause a risk of greenwashing and contribute to the integrity of the sustainable finance markets.
Okay, that's great. I can see that it does really resonate with what you're doing day to day.
Yes.
Now let's turn our focus to some of the things that we achieved in 2023, and we've reported there are many, many milestones. We've done a lot across the group, but maybe let me just zero in, no pun intended, on how we set targets for net zero last year. Maybe starting with you, Mike. Actually, in 2022, we already signed up to NZBA, the Net Zero Banking Alliance. So what's the significance of how we set sectoral targets last year?
Yeah, we set our targets in 2023, but we joined the NZBA in 2022, indeed. Just to give a bit of context and also the timeline, we as a team, we started work on net zero in August 2022. In October 2022, so 2 months after we started work, we were at the Sustainability Council presenting the initial set of findings. During the meeting, it was brought up, what is stopping us at looking at NZBA? There was a lot of debate. We felt that, number one, after 2 months of work, we have a slightly better idea as to what net zero meant. But more importantly, I think we were convinced that that is something we have to sign up to. It was a commitment we needed to make. And the impetus for taking that plunge was also COP held at Sharm el-Sheikh. And we thought, why not make a commitment before COP 27? And we actually signed up to it. So that was 2 months after we started work on net zero. But at the point in time, we still have not set any targets. We were only in the initial phase of looking at certain sectors. First, I think it was 2 sectors in the beginning. And after we committed to NZBA, it took us another 7 months before we were able to announce a target. So it was quite a journey. It was very intense. And in May last year, we announced our targets for 6 sectors. From my perspective, I think it was impactful in 3 ways. The first is really that we did so much work. There was a lot of deliberation, a lot of discussion, a lot of debate. Sometimes there were very painful processes, but it was robust and we were very clear-eyed as to what we were getting ourselves into. And when we finally delivered the baby, because it took 9 months, which was enough time to indeed to have a baby, it felt a great achievement to the working team. So to me, that was, personally, it was very satisfying. And the second reason I thought it was great is that it's impactful. What is more impactful than a bank actually having the loan portfolio that is aligned to a net zero pathway? And there's going to be a lot of efforts that needs to be spent in order to achieve that. So from an impact perspective, it was very meaningful. And I think thirdly, having a net zero target for the sectors means that when we engage our clients, there's no longer some iffy processes or benchmark that we look at. These are science-based, objective targets where we can again engage them and say, where are you on this journey? Let me help you.
So Yumi, maybe you can tell us a bit more details about these targets and also what are our plans for achieving them.
Right. We started our net zero journey in these 6 sectors: power, oil and gas, real estate, steel, aviation, and shipping. And when we chose these 6 sectors, we thought about 4 things. One is the industry that are carbon intensive, a very pollutive industry. Second, industry that are material for our portfolio. Third, industry that has relatively okay data. Because when we set the net zero targets, obviously access to the emission data and business activities, it's important. Fourth, these are the sectors where there are relatively established science-guided pathways. So we can use for benchmarks. For those reasons, we chose these sectors as a starting point. Okay, when we announced the net zero targets, obviously immediate reaction or questions that we always get is like, oh, are you stopping financing certain sectors? Are you reducing exposure? The answer is no, clear no. So the approach that we're taking on this net zero exercise is we differentiated sectors where there are growing roles to play in enabling sustainable development. For example, electricity or steel or even old buildings or whatnot. These are the materials or the resources that are needed for us to develop a sustainable future that gives opportunities, educations, and information to more people, especially in this market, in this world where OCBC is participating in. So for those sectors, namely all 5 sectors except oil and gas, we are tracking emission intensity. What do I mean by that? We track the emission and then we divide it by the business output. So in the context of the electricity, it's going to be greenhouse gas emission per megawatt hour electricity generated. For real estate, we also do it dividing by the gross floor area, something like that. So we track the emission intensity. So the idea is we continue to support the growth of this industry, growth of the business towards them from the OCBC Bank, while we are gearing towards the cleaner solutions. Oil and gas, unfortunately, according to the science and all this think tank, there is a limited role in net zero words. So for this sector, we set absolute emission target. So 14.9, this is the finance emission that the bank is responsible for back in 2021, and we aim to reduce it over time.
Okay, that's great. Looks like really a lot of work went in. The net zero report and setting up the targets for clarity. Are there any behind the scenes stories that can tell us about maybe your greatest challenges or proudest moments, or, you know, just something you could tell us about the interesting things that happened?
For the 9 months, I would say we work super closely together. On a daily basis, we'll be talking about methodologies, what to scope in, what to scope out, how do we engage the stakeholder and everything. Most of the time we agreed. There were some times when we disagreed.
Most of the time that we disagreed.
Okay, I see it the other way around. We were told, actually, after the whole thing was done and dusted, after we announced our targets, someone in the team actually came to us and said, on the days when we disagreed, they were actually whispering to each other, the team, that, you know, mommy and daddy are fighting again. So those are the healthy debates that we're having a lot. So that was actually good fun. So in terms of the challenges as well as the achievement, from my perspective, is really, as Yumi actually put it just now, is really our commitment in the oil and gas sector. There was a lot of debate, a lot of discussion as to whether we even wanted to have an oil and gas sector target, because is it realistic? I mean, we still come to work, most of us, based on transportation mode that is dependent on fossil fuel. And if you look at the competition on the market, other market players, not all of them actually have made an oil and gas target. But for us, we felt that it is commitment we needed to make. If we want to do something, let's make it authentic, let's make it real, let's make it impactful. And that's when we realized and we knew that oil and gas target had to be set. And that I will actually call out the foresight as well as the commitment of the senior management for supporting us to have that target. So that was the most challenging, but at the same time, I would say that was also the greatest achievement because we actually came away with a target that was meaningful and impactful.
I should say, really setting this net zero target and the whole journey was really highlight of my career. That was like an amazing learning journey.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Not disagree.
I mean, I feel like setting net zero targets are still relatively easy because there are guidelines, standards, and we were actually also supported by consultants. And we're also one of the 130 banks who were doing the same thing. But I think the real challenge is on how to get there. Because really, if you see the sectors now, really, those are the sectors that we do not have commercially viable green technologies yet. And telling them that this is the steep line that you need to follow and really making sure that they do it, it's a real challenge. And simply put, only when our clients achieve their net zero, we will achieve our net zero. So that's a real challenge. And so I'm not proud of that yet. I will be proud of all the achievement when we actually see the actions from the industry.
Okay. But even though you're not proud of that yet, and we haven't arrived at 2030, 2050 yet, but even in our SR 2023, we did report some progress. And one thing I liked is throughout the SR, there were many case studies of how we've supported our clients. What were some of the highlights you reported on?
I'm going to take this opportunity to encourage everybody to go and check out the sustainability report because it really has shows how we've been going about on these whole sectors and what's the actions that our clients are taking as well. One thing that I need to highlight is our net zero targets are set at 2030 and 2050. However, as an NZBA member, we have to report our progress every year. That's why we did it. This year, we made a good progress, but I'm sure there are years where there will be with the spikes or slower progress. So one thing that I really want to highlight is we should be courageously embrace this volatility and just work towards that. So basically putting like keep calm, keep decarbonizing, don't panic. We're launching this net zero paper. What we've done a lot is we go to our clients and explain, okay, this is how we assess your decarbonization pathway, and this is what we're expecting from you. How do you feel about it? What are the actions that you're taking? So these conversations are, again, a very different conversation that we normally used to do with the sustainable financing discussions. And also it opens up because we are really just going them with a bit of an open mind. Okay, this is what we have. I know this is not perfect, but what do you have? So there are a lot of a collaboration approach as well. At the back of it, I feel like we understand a little bit better on what clients are going through in terms of transition needs and what are the things that they may potentially need from us. Really, again, encouraging everybody to read the sustainability report because all the case studies that we've been sharing there is really the example of how we've been doing it tangibly. But now with this net zero target, we can actually go to our clients and say, these are the benchmark that I want you to follow. If you do it, we can offer you a sustainability linked loan that is labeled as 1.5 degree loan. So it's a recognition from the bank saying your sustainability decarbonization targets are aligned with 1.5 degree aligned pathway. So 1.5 degree loan, we launched it last year. It's a niche product because not everybody is ready to commit to 1.5 degree scenario. And not everybody is willing to report on their progress every year as well. So it's really a niche product for sustainability leaders. So we're very happy when we did the first loan with the CDA last year. And also it was recognized as an innovative solutions by the market through many different awards.
Okay, that's great. Can really see how it's really getting into the business and science-based targets. Mike, this is the first sustainability report that you've overseen as CSO. So are there any other highlights for you, any takeaways through the process?
When I first took up the role of the CSO, I knew that the SR was a key deliverable that I was going to be undertaking. Three things I will actually bring up here. First realization is that it's a lot of hard work. It was a lot of
I
hard
see a
work.
running theme here.
Yeah,
Hard
it was.
work, hard work, hard work.
And the team really worked very hard on it. And I had to get a bit more knowledgeable about terms like GRI, CCFD, SGS matrix. Just getting used to the acronyms was one thing, but actually knowing what they meant and having to align to those standards is quite another thing. And the second thing I'll bring up is that it's a lot of collaboration as well. The collaboration was there, and without the collaboration, it would not have been achievable. So thank you for everyone who has contributed to it. One final point I will make is that for the SR, when we started looking at it, we had no shortage of content. As a bank, we have actually made a lot of progress. So if you look at net zero, for instance, there were, I think, 15 pages on net zero. If you look at BOS, we have set targets on the percentage of recommended funds that have got a minimum ESG rating. If you look at our risk colleagues, they have been upping their game when it comes to climate risk management, policies, stress testing, and also for Great Eastern, right? They have been very successful in decarbonizing investment portfolio. So as a group, we have done a lot. When we had to put the pieces together for the SR, we were quite selective, but shortage of content was never one of the issues that we had.
So good problem to have,
Good
too much
problem.
content. So now I just want to ask a question that's not strictly speaking about the 2023 SR, but more about what are you looking forward to in our journey that could be reported in the 2024, 2025 SR? Maybe starting with you, Yoon Mee. What do you think our clients can look forward to as they journey with us?
A few weeks ago, I had an opportunity to speak at the GWB Town Hall. The topic was what makes me motivated to come to the office. And I genuinely shared that I'm excited to come to the office about the opportunities to create practical solutions for our clients. As I mentioned, the way to get to net zero is unknown. According to IEA, only half of the emission reduction will come from the technology that are not commercially viable at this moment. So you can imagine the level of energy and investment and just thoughts going on into these new technology innovations. At the back of it, there are a lot of thoughts around how a bank can play a role. Because we're not an investor who can invest in the early technology, but there are many other things that we can do still by connecting dots. I always say that banks are a connector of capital. We bring money from the people who have money and they give it to the people who need, right? Another thing is we're at the crossroad of all the people in the companies. Companies who have winning solutions, companies who are looking for solutions. We are in close talk with the government agencies and standard setting bodies. So by connecting these people and like really connecting dots and then tweaking here and there, we feel that there are interesting roles to play. Just sharing some examples again, last year as a more tangible way of doing it, we've been introducing a number of innovative solutions, really depending on the specific needs that the clients are going on. So for example, for the building owners who's done everything they can do to greening their buildings, we still have residual emission because they're buying electricity from the grid, right? So for that one, we actually packaged the green loan together with the carbon credits to help them offset and make the building carbon neutral. So last year, we put the first carbon offset loan transition with Frasers. It was 3 wins for us. One was, again, it was innovative solutions that we got a lot of awards. Second, it was a collaboration with the global markets. And third one was, it was new for clients to really do the carbon emission trading. So we really could handhold them in the early stage of thinking, like, is it the right thing to do? How do we do it with integrity? And what are documentation? So all these things, we really work together as a partner. Another theme, a key theme that we're seeing in 2024 and going forward is supply chain. There is increasing talks around Scope 3 emissions and how we manage the sustainability issues in their supply chain. If you think about it, our SMEs are suppliers of MNC clients or large scope clients who will be looking at this. So by educating our SME clients on what's going on and how they will be impacted and providing potential solutions, and then at the back of it, offering a sustainability-linked loan for them to do better in their ESG performance, either in the form of like EcoVadis ratings or decarbonization efforts. These are the things that we've been already launched and we hope to roll out in all our key markets. Really stay tuned on the innovative solutions that we will continue to introduce to the market.
Sounds exciting. Mike, anything to add to what we can look forward to?
What I would really hope to do is to encourage and motivate and activate more collaboration across the group, across the network. So there are a lot of things we have done in little pockets here and there in the group. But how do we actually leverage on these capabilities and make it work across the network? I think that is something that we want to try to do. So for example, we have got our global markets that have been successfully looking at carbon credit solutions. How can the network actually tap on the capabilities here to promote carbon credit activities in Indonesia or in Hong Kong or China or Malaysia, leveraging on what we have here? And another example, OPS, OCBC Property Services, have been quite active looking at different solutions to decarbonize our properties. Again, we have got a partnership, for example, with SGBC, the Singapore Green Building Council, looking at innovative solutions to decarbonize the real estate industry. Again, once we have gotten some of this tech proven, how do our network countries actually tap onto these solutions, implement it in their respective properties abroad? So these are some of the things I'm hoping to see more, the collaboration and leveraging on capabilities.
Okay. Before we end, and maybe a final question, I thought just to ask you a bit more of a personal question. Both of you started your new roles on the same day last year. How has the last 9 months been in terms of your experience?
Yes, it has been slightly more than 9 months. When it comes to sustainability, it is a very quickly evolving space, whether you're looking at reporting standards, guidelines, transition planning, etc., etc. So you will not get bored. So it is actually quite interesting for all these things to be happening more or less at the same time. Just when you think you have reached the goalpost actually moves all the time. So you will not get bored. And the second point I will make is that perhaps related to the first point, which is that every day I come to the office, knowing that when I leave the office, I will know more than when I actually came into the office. Because like I said, there are so many things happening at the same time, right? And I recall last week, there was one afternoon, I had 3 back-to-back meetings. One was with a sustainability banker. Another one was with someone working in the government. Another one was with a consultant. At the end of each meeting, when I look back now, I actually learned something different that I didn't know when I came into the office that morning. The last point I will make is maybe a little bit more personal in the sense that the job actually encompasses many different areas, as well as engagement with a variety of stakeholders. Some I know relatively well in terms of the topics, some I don't at all. Some I feel comfortable, some I don't feel comfortable. But what I have learned in the last 9 months is that I need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable because I just don't have a choice, right? It's part of the role. It comes in the job description, right? But when you get yourself out of the comfort zone, you actually get to know yourself better. It's a bit of self-discovery. And at the same time, you learn things about yourself that you didn't know before. So I would actually encourage everybody to get out of your comfort zone and start thinking about how you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because that is really very good for personal growth.
Thanks for sharing, Mike.
Whatever he said, I agree with 100%. The topics of the meetings that we have every day is shifting like A to Z. So the variety of the topics that we need to stay updated on, the speed of the changes and the depth of the knowledge that's required to make any useful decisions along the way, that is truly humbling because you never know everything. I feel very humbled by this opportunity to work in this sustainability topic, and I'm very grateful for our teams and the colleagues and everybody who's really putting their efforts together. So that's really one thing. Another one is also, I enjoy the spirit of entrepreneur because we're navigating such an uncertain area without really prescriptive ways of doing it. So what we're given is basically a North Pole to get there and a basic boundaries that I need to play with and then play within, and also the stakeholders that we need to engage. With these boundaries, we feel like we're a bit of an entrepreneurs within these organizations to try something new, push the boundaries, and connect dots in a way that it has never happened before.
By the way, on the grateful point, I'm grateful for you. If I may actually interject here, just to give some context, back in July last year, I started talking to Lisa about joining us potentially. After many months of persuading, motivating, cajoling, she finally agreed, to actually consider and then finally join us. So she joined us. So how has your experience been since joining OCBC? And I'm hoping no regrets.
Okay, I don't know whether this is allowed, but since Mike, you're asking this question, that's supposed the first thing I have to say is I have an amazing boss. I work in an
I think so
amazing
too.
team. But seriously, I do have an amazing boss and amazing team. What has struck me in just the last few months is that OCBC is a very authentic organization. So when we talk about being purpose-led, values-based, there's a lot of sincerity and authenticity in that across the group. So people are humble, not boastful. People do want to do the right thing for the long term and really see how they can support their clients. And for me, this is something very special that we need to hold on to because it's exactly the kind of corporate or business that the world needs. We need people who are humble and therefore willing to learn, willing to try, willing to collaborate, and people who are willing to do the right thing for results that they may not be around to see. So I think it's something quite precious that we have as an organization. Secondly, I've actually been very impressed by how much investment goes into people in OCBC. So on sustainability alone, if you look up Campus on Cloud, there are hundreds of programs you can go to. We've partnered with Cambridge, NUS, you can sign up for EcoVarsity. For anyone in the group who's committed, you're willing to spend your time, attend the courses and upskill yourself or learn, the opportunity is there. And for me, it's just a sign that is a very good sign of a very healthy organization who is progressive, forward-looking, and that I'm now proud to be part of.
Okay.
So no regrets.
No regrets. Okay, very good.
What would be the one thing you want people who have participated in this webinar to remember about our sustainability journey?
Now you know that there is a team for Global Wholesale Banking Division who are driving sustainability for our client interactions. So reach out to us if you want to know more about it or think about the collaboration opportunities. As I said, we are a small entrepreneurship group here. Then the second of all, if you want to know more about how we are engaging our clients on net zero, Google banking on net zero. That's where we're gonna continue to share. I mean, you can already see our 70-page net zero paper. And then all the key studies and how we've been working with our clients, and we'll continue to pull our ESG related content, including the research from the global markets team as well.
I guess I have to promote the 2023 SR as well.
Not necessarily. Feel free to say whatever.
If there's one thing for people to take away, I hope you will take away the ABC because it is fundamental, it is foundational to what we do. And if anybody were to ask you what sustainability means to OCBC, I hope everyone remembers the ABC.
Okay, that's great. I really just want to say thank you, everybody, for dialing in. I hope you go away with ABC. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.